We're back to the Neil Haley Show here on the Media Giant Effect as well. And I'm excited to welcome to the program Elizabeth Duncan-Hawker. Elizabeth, thanks for stopping by. And, you think about the mask that we had to wear for X amount, and some people still wear masks, and depending on what environments they're in, how we're not able to see facial cues anymore. We're not able to pick up specific things. In Zooms, we're really not able to see a presence sometimes because we can really put on a mask when we're on a Zoom versus if I was, meeting with you and shook your hand and sat down in a physical place, you could see a lot more of my body language differently. You would understand me more because you could see what's happening in my legs, what's happening, with the environment around me versus how is he going to react versus being on a Zoom where it's sometimes the perfect situation. So what you do is you teach people and help people in that process to understand that body language, right? And what it means and how to really understand it, right?
Absolutely. And I tell you, it's even more important right now that we start tuning in on this. So, because we're all coming out post-pandemic, and it caused a little bit of a ripple with a lot of people. I actually wrote a book during the pandemic called Collecting True Friends, and it's talking about how we build allies and how we build relationships with people. And during that, what I realized is that when we got out of the pandemic, people's skills just to have a basic conversation were really limited. And the mask was dreadful because for those that are listening that, I'm covering my face here, but when you cover your face up, what happens is you can't see the wrinkle lines around the eyes. You can't see that what I was saying, because I'm a little sarcastic and then I'll give like that little wink and that little smile. And then people will know, oh, she's joking with me. She's being playful. But with the mask on, people misinterpreted a lot of things, just like when we used to just text before emojis.
And I also think there's miscommunications in Zooms, as I talked about before. You really might have met somebody online, but then when you meet them in person, you're like, is that really the same person?
Yeah, and the funny thing is that you have, at least for me, you have no gauge of how tall somebody is. So my biggest thing is when I finally meet somebody in person, oh, you're so much taller, you're so much shorter. So it's really interesting how you really don't get to know. You had said something really interesting, Neil, and you said that I can't see your legs. That is one of the biggest things right now. A lot of people realize, and I'll give your listeners a tip immediately, is that look where somebody's feet are pointing. That's one of the biggest things you'll know if they're done talking to you. If their feet are pointed in a different direction and you're having a conversation, they just told you, we're done here.
How about if it's subconscious, you're moving your body in the direction you didn't know you did it and it really didn't want to, and subconsciously you did it? How do you control that?
Sometimes we don't realize we're doing it, and it might just be something as simple as we need to use the restroom, or it could be that they're hungry. We want to go over and get a bottle of water or something at the bar over there. However, we need to start paying attention to people's bigger clues, and when we do that, I call them signals. And when we start seeing the signals, what happens is then we get a better read on people, and people don't get as aggravated with us, and then also we have a deeper connection quicker, and then we don't get upset when, why aren't they returning my phone calls?
So what about if it's you that did it? You're doing something subconsciously, turning your legs in a different direction or not things, and not paying attention to your environment and what you're doing subconsciously. How do you make the subconscious?
That's a beautiful lead-in. That's a beautiful lead-in, Neil, because what they need to do is they need to get updated skills, and that's what I offer. So, that's a beautiful lead-in to where it is, because we all can learn. And I always tell everybody it's very important to realize we didn't have friendship building 101 or relationship building or body language 202. These are skills you can learn at any age. We're not too old, but if you're finding that people just aren't connecting with you, then I hate to tell you, but it's usually you, my friend. So it's time to get some skills updated, just like we have to get our hairstyles updated, our clothing updated. If you're finding out your connections aren't working, you need some training on it.
So the body language, how does the subconscious happen where a certain situation where you might be just used to how you react in a room, how you react in specific things, but yet it's something that you shouldn't be reacting that way. It's not very professional. It's not very, it doesn't really speak highly of you.
You're absolutely right. What's happened though is a lot of times it's created from habit. And habit is something we have to work very hard to break. For example, last year I made up my mind I was going to eliminate the word try from my vocabulary. And it was silly because I would go around going, I'm trying to remove try. I mean, I'm working on removing try. But when we know something, awareness is the important thing, and then we can call it out. But we have to ask and get like a trusted person next to us and say, hey, at that meeting, did I come across indifferent, or was I not connecting well? And get a trusted source to say, yeah, you're walking around with your face all crumpled up, or your toes are pointing the opposite direction. You just look like you were disinterested, because a lot of times it's people don't realize they're doing it. For example, if they are programmers, they may be running something in their head. Maybe they're writing code in their head while they're having a conversation, but the other person interprets it like, oh, they're not interested in me and I'm boring them. And that has nothing to do with it. It's just that their brain's running something in there. So if you find that people aren't connecting with you, yes, it's you. It's time to fix it. You can fix it, but you have to be aware. Then you have to get some training to know how to fix it.
And it's not just, Elizabeth, it's not just in business, it's in relationships too, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I wrote the book on the friendship. So because if we want better people in our lives, especially as friends and allies, absolutely, then the way you're going to attract that is if you open yourself up with those signals and make people feel really comfortable, and they go, I don't know what it was, but I just feel really comfortable talking to him or her. Well, what it is that you sent off the right signals.
All right. Where can people check out your book and stuff and learn more about it?
The book is available on Amazon. It's Collecting True Friends. And then also I invite everybody to come to my website, ElizabethDuncan-Hawker.com. And if you do /secrets, there's a free gift for you there. I'm going to give you the 7 steps to effectively connect well everywhere, every time. And that's going to be a good start for you. That's a good jumping platform, Neil. Thanks for asking.
All right, Elizabeth, thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
You're listening, watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.